guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to talk about Don't Worry, Darling, the latest film that just dropped on HBO Max, but it was in theaters, I believe, like in September. And this is a movie, of course, directed by Olivia Wilde, starring Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Chris Pine. A lot of controversy with this movie, so
yes,
I feel like we've been hearing about it for like the longest time.
Yeah, a lot of drama behind the scenes.
A lot of drama. We'll try to stay out of the drama and just talk about the movie. But before we get into it, guys, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about new movies and TV shows and all that kind of stuff. Entertainment news every Saturday night. We do a live stream where we talk about all the latest news topics. So hit the subscribe button if that stuff interests you. Like the video like she said, and then leave us a comment down below. Did you watch Don't Worry, Darling? Did you see it in the theaters or did you watch it on HBO Max? Let us know in that comment section below. Okay, Don't Worry, Darling. Where do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, so I was kind of joking with you that it might be difficult for you to talk about this movie because you're not the biggest Florence Pugh fan.
No, I'm not. I was really trying to leave my bias out of it. Look, I don't know Florence Pugh. I'm sure she's a very nice girl that's making her way through the business, but I've not really liked a lot of her performances. Maybe Fighting with My Family is the only one that I enjoy.
And I haven't seen that one, but...
so this was an uphill battle for me, just watching her as the lead in a movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, I tried to take my bias out of that.
So yeah, just going off of that though, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of her either, but I feel like in this movie, I feel like she did pretty good with what she was given, especially with all the, drama that we mentioned earlier. Of course, nobody, I guess, really knows what happened behind the scenes or whatever.
Yeah.
You just kind of hear things about some, I don't know, on set.
Her and Olivia Wilde butted heads a lot, apparently, on set. And to the point where Florence Pugh basically said that she directed part of this movie, took credit for directing part of it, which I don't know if I believe fully, but anyway.
Yeah, that sounds kind of sketchy, but so I feel like she did pretty good in this movie. But at the same time, I don't know, I feel like everybody in this movie was just very mediocre.
Yeah, I would agree. And, I would say everyone did well enough for the movie that they were in, but there wasn't any energy to anybody's performances necessarily. They all just felt like they were zombies, just kind of sleepwalking through the movie.
Right. I felt like nobody had any chemistry.
With the exception of maybe Chris Pine, because I do think that he's doing a pretty great job in this movie. But again, everybody and everything around him isn't up to his standards, I think. Because I just think Chris Pine's a really great actor.
Gotcha.
So I think that he's good with the scenes and the dialogue that he's given.
Right.
But just everything around him isn't up to par.
Yeah. And there were some parts, as far as Florence Pugh and oh my gosh, Harry Styles, they're married in this movie. Yeah. And, there were parts where I almost believed that they loved each other.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there were just a lot of things that would kind of always take you out of it. I know you kept talking about how you thought that it was something like interesting or groundbreaking coming, but then you find out that they've really just copied other movies and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the obvious influence, the movie's clearly inspired by a lot of different films and genres, but the obvious one, like right from the beginning, is the Stepford Wives.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the one you pointed out.
Yeah, I said that immediately. Like, even just seeing the preview, I'm like, this reminds me of the Stepford Wives.
Yeah, and I don't want to compare it to anything else other than that, because I feel like that would be a spoiler for what happens at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
But the movie, like, it sets you up with these tropes of other movies and genres, and again, it's clearly inspired by, and you think at a certain point, you're like, okay, well, you set all this stuff up and you've been inspired by all these other movies setting this stuff up. You're going to go into a new direction, right? You're going to give us something new and fresh and different and original. And that doesn't happen. It basically just copies off another movie, like in the last 30 minutes, like maybe 2 or 3 different movies that I've seen.
Yeah.
It copies off of. So I'm just like, by the time we get to the end, I'm like, I've seen all this before, and I've seen it done much better. So like, what are you giving me of value in this movie here, other than a bunch of mediocre performances and a story that I've seen 100 times before?
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to read the plot?
Yeah, you can do that.
So basically it's a 1950s housewife played by Florence Pugh living with her husband, Harry Styles, in a utopian experimental community. And they begin to worry that, or she begins to worry that his glamorous company could be hiding disturbing secrets.
Yeah.
So like when you're watching the movie, you definitely you're not quite sure like what's going on. You're like, is this set back in the 50s? Are they trying to act like they're in the 50s? There's just a lot of questions, and that's okay. You don't always have to explain everything away, but I feel like there's a lot of plot holes in this movie.
There really is.
Yeah.
And it does set up a ton of questions that you expect payoffs to. Like, maybe I don't need a payoff to everything.
Right.
But it's like, why set up the question if you're not even going to explain any aspect of it? So when you get to the end, you get some explanations on some of the questions, but then some of the other ones, it's just like, well, I don't even know how to explain this, so we're not even going to bother.
Yeah.
And they just leave it unanswered.
Yeah, and I mean, I could definitely tell, with Olivia Wilde directing this and everything, I could tell that she was definitely trying to go for a somewhat artsy film.
The movie's well directed. Like it's a beautiful movie, like visually. Like I think the cinematography and all that stuff's it's really well shot. It's got some cool shots, but
it is. Like
it's a big budget like studio movie. So like what big budget studio movie these days isn't at least like pretty and nice to look at?
True, yeah.
So I don't know how much credit I can give there.
Yeah.
But I mean, Olivia Wilde, she did Booksmart, and me and you, we weren't the biggest fans of that movie.
I know, I really wanted to like it, but I was not the biggest fan of that.
And that movie felt like it was, trying to copy and be like so many movies before. Mm-hmm. So I get what she's doing, and I get her intentions, but she hasn't shown me anything yet that makes me believe that she's a filmmaker to watch going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In my opinion.
Right. So what would you give this film?
I don't want to give it a 2.5. I don't think it's a terrible movie. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly mediocre. It's very derivative of just tons of other films from the past. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable giving it a 3. It's not terrible. It's just it's something to watch, I guess, and you don't really get much out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 as well. Like you said, it's not horrible. It is something to watch. Per my usual complaints, it was a little long.
How long was it? Was it over 2 hours?
It was a little over 2 hours, yeah.
Okay.
But, some plot holes. Yeah, so I'll give it a 3 though.
Yeah, I think a 3 is fair for this movie. Like we said in the beginning, this is available right now on HBO Max. So if you have that, you can go ahead and watch it for free as long as you have HBO Max.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is our review. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button. Let us know in the comment section below. What do you think of Don't Worry, Darling? Are you going to watch it now based on our very mild recommendation? Let us know in that comment section below. And then turn on the bell notifications. Follow us on our social media accounts down below. We'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.